My daughter was born 10 days before I made that video. So that also might be why I was talking really fast, because I was really tired.
We are here with the Olivia Botrie, and she is in today to talk about a video, the first video we shot with you. Now this got about almost 500,000 hits. And I think we need to talk about it because a lot of you people had comments. Now let's address the #1 comment on all of our Olivia videos, and that is that she is a fast talker, guys. Olivia?
That's the #1 comment in my life. I am a fast talker. I embrace it. I'm getting better at trying to talk slower, but I also can't stifle it. I get excited.
There you go. She's an enthusiastic talker.
That's right. I'm an enthusiastic person.
They thought either we had sped up the video, which we did not, guys, real time. And some people said, asked if you rapped.
You know what? I don't rap, but I should take up rapping. I'd be really good at it.
Now, this house has quite a story. This was on the cover of the Small Spaces issue, and this was your parents' house.
It was my parents' house. Still is. They still live there.
You know, the #2 biggest comment on this video is most people don't consider this a small space. Now, tell us more about this, because obviously things translate differently in real life versus in video. Do you know the square footage?
Yeah, the whole house is about 1,200 square feet.
Okay.
So, and that's divided between 2 floors. So the main floor, which was what was shot in the magazine, is about 600 square feet. It looks a lot bigger in the footage than it is in real life. There's the wide angle lens that you guys use, which really opens it up. And also all the walls and ceilings are white. So it really, opens up the space. And the color palette is really consistent from the front of the house all the way through to the back.
Right.
So it reads as kind of one big open space, but it's also quite narrow. And my dad laughed very hard when everybody said it wasn't a small space, because he said, try living in it.
Right.
Because he's constantly bemoaning the fact that he can't just make it just 3 or 4 feet wider.
At the end of the video, Olivia, you mentioned that your clients, aka your parents,
Yes.
are looking for another house, looking for another project.
Yes.
Who are these insanely rich people who are buying another house after
If they bought another house, they would sell that house.
Okay, yeah.
My parents love renovating, which also probably explains how I got into interior design. My parents were flippers before flipping was a thing. In the 80s, we bought houses around the beaches area, and we'd live in the house, renovate it, and then move. To be clear, neither of my parents are skilled trades. They would make us do grunt work like move, demo, painting.
Right.
I'm a really good painter. I can roll a wall like nobody's business.
They had a vision.
They had a vision. Yeah, and they were actually known in our area for their houses would be really nice when they were done, because they would put time and effort into it. And we'd all live there, the 5 of us, and then we would move out and on to the next.
What would you say your personal interior style is? If you had to choose one aesthetic to do your own home, yeah, what would that be?
Well, one thing is I think it would depend for me what my house was. Whenever you're injecting, more modern stuff, I think you either want to have a really nice balance between the old perimeter shell and the stuff you're putting in, or you want to have a really nice contrast. So keep the perimeter looking really traditional and then make the interiors really modern to contrast that a bit. For me, I like probably a new traditional style in my own house. I like it to be warm and have color and pattern and feel cozy. I have a young family, so I like it to be touchable and usable and not precious in any way.
It's not too modern, it's not too trendy.
In the middle of the road, yeah. All the stuff on our website, there's a lot of variety in the styles of stuff, but I feel like everything feels clean and fresh, which is what I like.
What is your design pet peeve?
Ooh, I would say my #1 pet peeve is when people make a design choice that does not function at all, that's just for pretty. I'm all about the function, and we start every project with figuring out how we're gonna make this house work for the homeowners and how the way they use the space is gonna be reflected in the design choices we make. And then once we figure that out, then we start to look at the pretty. And sometimes you go into a space and you think, well, that looks really great, but that's completely impractical.
Right.
And that's not who I am. And I feel like that's not who most of our clients are. Most of our clients are people who have young kids and are moving into an old home and want to make it livable, but don't want to maintain it and worry about it all the time.
What do you feel is the biggest difficulty with Toronto homes? You've done so many of them now.
There is a very common Toronto layout, which I also live in. The classic Toronto semi. It's long and narrow. It's about 15 feet wide. You step in right into the living room. The stairs are on the side. They run up usually in the party wall, and the kitchen's at the back.
Yeah.
So we've done enough of those to find that a challenge. But I also feel like we've come up with some different ways of adding storage, adding a foyer, which we've done a bunch of times. We did it in my house as well. It worked really well. And putting in a foyer where there's no foyer. So I have a front hall closet and tile at the front door, and you don't step right into the living room, which is also really nice. But I feel like we've gotten good at figuring out ways to deal with those challenges.
Right.
And it's different for every family what's going to work for them. One time in one of those long, narrow houses, the family was really into cooking, and the husband loved to like put on a show when he's cooking, so we moved the whole kitchen into the middle of the house. And it worked out so well. For someone else, it might not have been the right choice, but for them, it worked out so well, and they were thrilled. And when they entertain, everyone sits around the island and watches them cook.
Cool. Did we shoot that?
No.
Bum 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 bum.
In this video of your parents' place.
Yes.
Which now is 5 years old. I was watching it, and there's absolutely nothing in that space where I'm like, that's dated. You did such a good job at choosing a nice mix of woods and just like a really clean aesthetic. Even in the basement, nothing feels trendy. And I need to know your formula.
To be honest, I don't have one. That's just what my parents like, and they're pretty timeless in their style, and they do know a lot about design, so they know what they like. Although their styles can be very different. My mom likes warmer, more traditional stuff, and my dad likes everything really clean and no clutter. He's against clutter, which I'm also against. I feel like the key to picking timeless stuff is really picking what appeals to you, because trends come and go, and you can never predict what the next trend is going to be. So to try to focus your house on not hitting those trendy items, I think is impossible. I don't think anyone could do it. So I feel like the best way is just to think about what makes you happy and what's the stuff you want to be surrounded with, and focus on that. And then if that's the next big trend or not, you're kind of always going to be happy with what you have.
I want to know what's happening next. What are we shooting next?
Well, our next project that we're working on, won't be the next thing you're shooting, but my sister just bought a house and we're gutting it and putting an addition on the back. So my entire family is involved in talking about it all the time now.
I hope you guys all get along really well.
We do. It's going to be great. My sister's basically another me. It's going to be great.
So thanks for coming by, Olivia.
No problem.
And we'll do this again the next time,
Excellent.
The internet is in a tiffy, in a hizzy, in a
Tizzy.
in a tizzy over
Which
your
is
video.
all the time. Everyone's always mad. Sorry, YouTube.